What's going on, Minecraft fans? My name is Cyril, and after 80 days of Seed Zero Hardcore, I'm back with another hardcore series. Keep in mind, this one was actually recorded way before the Seed Zero one. Now, I'm sure all of you know what hardcore is from the TheNotable video about 100 days of Minecraft. As for this playthrough, I decided to roleplay some of the aspects of the game, and since I had some OP data packs installed. So if you find some events unlikely to happen, that's because they are, and we're prepared as behind the scenes, but still completely in survival without cheats. But that's enough for me talking, let's get to the story. My story began in a world I once lost, back when I was still making first-person time-lapse videos. Actually, the most viewed video is also part of this series, but anyways, as soon as I spawned, I collected enough wood to make a boat, sailed across the sea to the mountains, collected some spruce wood. Thanks to the tree capitator, this was a nice and fast task. Then I killed some of the wild pigs and got my first coal pretty early on. Afterwards, I took my boat and I sailed north, looking for a place to settle. While rowing, I was on a constant search for ocean ruins or monuments, but I didn't find any. After some time, I landed on an archipelago filled with birch trees and sugarcane, so I took some and soon left, sailing west. Not too long after, I sighted a big island with unknown destroyed obsidian structure. Before I landed, I decided to pay a small homage to the previous series, world to which I lost because of hard drive corruption. Having finished building a small pillar from the little material I had, I went back to the big island, and on my way I killed more wildlife. This time the target was sheep, and from their wool I crafted a white bed. I looted a chest that was next to the obsidian structure, and in it I found a lot of golden stuff, from ingots and carrots all the way to helmet and boots. Just before going to bed, I got to watch an amazing sunset, and that was day one. On my second morning, I circumnavigated the island in search of suitable place for my first base. After some thought, I decided the northern part of the island and western beach would be the place. Here I'm making another one of the pillars, this time to remember the place my journey on this island began. Then I became a weird lumberjack by replanting more trees than I've cut, and I've also made a little sugarcane farm on the coastline. I had spent most of the day trying to figure out which place to pick for the starting location, and now I had to actually quickly build some roof above my head. First, I dug a little hole into the sand and I began placing diagonal outline. Since it's the first base I will be making in this world, I want to make it simple. No windows, no tall walls, just plain wood. For the day, I only managed to place the outline and I had to go to bed before the mobs would spawn. On the third day, I began adding more details, slowly transforming the structure into something that I would resemble a tent. After I made the decision of not eating through all of my golden carrots, I began to feel hungry, and to solve that I made a campfire so that I can cook some of the meat I had from my wildlife exploits. To this day I'm only an owner of one piece of cobblestone and a stone shovel, so I can't craft a furnace yet. From the iron nuggets I found in this chest, I crafted one lantern and I slept once again. Feeling cramped inside my tent, I expanded by digging lower and adding trapdoors as sort of a soil holders or support beams that will keep the surrounding soil from getting inside. After a bit more work on the details, like adding more texture to my sandstone floor, I was happy with how the base turned out and I decided to clear out these trees that have grown. A beehive also spawned with one of the oak trees, but hey, I'm no beekeeper, so I'll just leave them be. On the other hand, who wouldn't like flowers though, right? After planting and cutting trees, as it is usual for me, today was a big day, because we're going on a mining trip. To get to this cave, I just had to walk a bit east from my base. Once inside, I got my hands on my first iron, as well as fighting my first creeper, and I have to say, my heart was racing. Some of you might remember how my previous attempts have ended. From the iron I smelted, I crafted chest plate and a shield. Then I spent a good couple of minutes just lighting up the entire cave system and mining everything I laid my eyes on. Once I got a new pair of leggings and iron tools, I had villager noises from above, most likely a wandering trader, but by the time I got out of the cave, he was nowhere to be seen. After searching the area, the only thing I found were 2 leads, so I guess we all know what happened. Saddened, I went to my tent to store my items, but soon I heard an enderman. He was holding a rose. How cool is that? Anyways, I cut down the entire forest I had planned previously, and then I went to the cave to finish up mining rest of the ores I left down there. This time when I left the cave, it was already nighttime, so I made a run for it, and I just beelined it straight to my tent. It took me only 7 days to finally have furnace in my house. Let's go! Plan for today is doing some gardening and terraforming work. Okay, ever since I first went to the cave, I really like this small canyon-like region, and I'd also like to somehow connect a tunnel to my base. So let me just clear the sand, and I'll use some gravel and maybe later cobblestone, and I'll make a simple path. Look how lovely the sunset is, by the way. Just as I promised last day, today I'll be adding cobblestone to the path for more variants. Oh, no, is that what I think it is? Don't mind me, I'm not a threat, and there's totally nothing you'd gain from coming here. After I was done grabbing some more stone, they were nowhere to be seen anymore. As for the rest of the day, I did some wood cutting, bee breeding, and during the night I decided to dig deeper into the ground for more valuable materials. It was maybe 15 minutes later when I came across another cave system with more skeletons, lapis, and red mushrooms in it. The lava that was in it has turned into obsidian from a single water source that was pouring out of the wall. Here I'm hearing zombie noises. There's gotta be more to this cave than what I've seen, right? Found it. Come here, my guy. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so there were no diamonds here, just some redstone and iron. Let me try digging this way. Oh, another cave. Okay, what do we have here? Some gold, redstone. Maybe I'll find some diamonds. Spoiler alert. No, I didn't. I guess it's time to head back out. Hopefully it won't be night, right? Well, whatever. It'll just be like the last time, right? Oh no. Where are they next to my base? Just why? Okay, the plan is simple. I just make them follow me, and once they get a good distance, I'll sprint to my base. Let's go. Whew. I made it. Oh no, I totally forgot I can't sleep with monsters around. What will I do now? Wait, is that a zombie villager? Wait, that's Copper the Cook, my mate from when I sailed the seas. What a poor fella. If I manage to somehow trap him and hide him so that he doesn't burn in the sunlight, I could cure him later, right? I know that you can cure them, but how? Anyways, I don't have the time to think about that right now. I have to help him. Here's the plan. I have a lot of wood, and do you know what you can make from wood? That's right, a boat. Okay, 15 should be enough. Now I'm just gonna run at them and trap him, right? Okay, Cooper the Cook is in the boat. Now I just need to build a wall around him. That will be easy for sure. After some struggle and couple of near-death experiences, during which Cooper got almost killed too, I had to go back home to cook some meat. But the sunrise was close and there still wasn't roof above his head. Then out of nowhere, rain came and saved the whole operation. On the other hand, this meant I still had to deal with all the mobs that were in the general vicinity. It was around noon when I was killing the last mobs and Cooper was already in safe spot. To make sure he wouldn't despawn, he probably still wouldn't have since it was in a boat, but just to make sure, I used the name tag on him. Then I decided to get all my wood stock and travel to find a village or merchant that would buy all of it in exchange for emeralds. I left the base late into the evening, then I made a camp close to a ravine on an unknown island, and it was there where I found my new best friend, Pekka the Rooster. Together, we went on an adventure, and in the next to no time, found an ancient ruined city of the seas. The inhabitants were slow on the ground, and with that advantage, I managed to borrow all their personal belongings and run away before they could do anything. Then we dug for a treasure according to one of the maps we found in the city. There were some emeralds, gold, and iron, as well as a blue pulsating orb that exhibited the feeling of that of a sea, a heart of the sea, you know? As we were coming home from our adventure with Pekka, we were still sailing around the coastline when we saw smoke coming off from a distance. Unsure whether this was a village or a pillager raid party, I decided to first get home to ensure Pekka's safety, and then I did investigate it by myself. On the 12th day, I sailed there and turns out it was a swamp/taiga village. When I entered, I made sure to greet each and every inhabitant, and then I borrowed some of their stuff that they had no use for. The name of the village is the village of Trembling Woods, and it's based on the fact that there is a giant crack going through the middle of the village, and that was created by earthquakes in the area. One of the locals was Hawkeye the Fletcher, and just by trading with him, I got 139 emeralds for 9 or so stacks of spruce wood. The locals were really nice to me, and as such I decided to spend some time here, earning money by being a lumberjack and buying meals from local farmer Robardo. The other two inhabitants, Archimedes and the librarian, and Blade the swordsmith, taught me valuable lessons too. While under the training of Blade, I learned how to fight with sword, and at the end he gave me his personal sword that he himself used in the past when he was fighting the zombie army as general. While the sword is fragile, it is one of the sharpest steels created. As for Archimedes, he spent a lifetime studying the earthquakes and the minerals found in the crack. As such, he devised a method of obtaining more raw materials from one piece of ore, and while he says it depends on the fortune of the miner, the yield can be even 4 times that of the unexperienced miner would get. With all this knowledge, I prepared for my journey home, and just as I was about to leave the village of Trembling Woods, Forest Wandering Trader visited the place, and for whopping 31 emeralds, I bought a diamond axe from him. I got back home on the 16th day. As soon as the sun has risen, I began the construction of another tent, following the same style as the first one. For now, I do not know how I will use it. Maybe for storage, maybe for something better. At the end of the day, the only thing that was left to be finished was the interior. Other than that, the structure was finished. On the 17th day, I continued working on the tent, adding support beams and a floor made out of spruce wood and coarse dirt. After the tent was done, I went to upgrade the path, replacing some blocks with coarse dirt and also connecting the second tent to the pathway. Next, I started to work on a little square of my base, adding circular pathway around what would be the central campfire, and on the opposite side of my tent, I considered adding a cage for Cooper the cook. Once I added some simple wooden chairs around the campfire, I used mostly fences and trapdoors to create a cage. The last bit of detail was a drying rack west of my tent. On 19th day, I finally got some kelp dried, and I finally got to work on the defenses for the colony. I went for a palisade-like structure made out of stripped spruce wood and oak planks, together with trapdoors as a support and fences for pointy ends. For the gate, I used a cool little trick with fences placed diagonally, meaning I can go through, but mobs my size won't be able to. Let's just hope this works for small zombies too. Once the defenses were up, I could work on improving the insides of the colony. First, I divided it into upper and lower region, where the lower one holds the cage and the square, while the upper will have the second tent and garden terraces. It's the end of 21st day, and I guess the only thing missing here in the colony is more life, and for safety reasons, more torches to light up the area. Today, I moved the pillar of landing and upgraded it by adding campfire and trapdoors to it. Then I constructed tiki torches around my colony. Once that was done, it was time to officially invite the second inhabitant to the city. Since the safety was ensured now, Pekka finally stepped out of the boat and became the number 2 citizen. Day 23 is gonna be big. My plan for today is to finally move Cooper to the cage, not to make fun of him, just to have him around and socialize, you know? And what better way to move someone during the day than to use boats? Well, of course, I will make sure he doesn't burn and stuff. Easy solution I found was to use a dirt sunscreen, you know? It's cheap, but so is glass, and it doesn't get the job done. The moving began around noon. It was a slow and painful process, one that required the utmost precision, as one bad move would result in the burning death of Cooper, or me bleeding out from a zombie scratches. Either way, after getting stuck in a boat a couple of times and thinking that this is the end, I finally got Cooper to the cage in the afternoon, and then I cleared out the sunscreen as well as the cobblestone tower. The holes, well, they have to say, as a memory to the Battle of Creep Holes, during which I saved Cooper. On the next day, while I was doing some wood cutting, a boat sailed to the colony. In it was a fisherman named Duncan, who said that he had to move since all fish died in his region, and there were plenty of salmon around here. I let him use the second tent, and for that he decided he would teach me how to catch fish. I spent the next couple of days under the guidance of Duncan hunting for fish in the sea. During one of my adventures, I stumbled across another ancient ocean city, but it looked like this one was already found by another explorer way before me. It was on 28th day when Duncan finally said that I know enough, and as a gift he gave me his personal fishing rod that is near unbreakable. After spending some time together, he opened up to me saying how he always wanted to try making boats, but he was never good with finding the suitable material for it. But hey, I'm a lumberjack, so maybe that could be arranged. And so it happened. As long as I'd bring him oak wood for the boats, he would give me emeralds. It was just before the 29th day when the zombie assassin infiltrated the settlement through the fence gates, but luckily I arrived just in the nick of time to save Duncan. On the next day, I replaced the fences with gates, and that should settle the problem of pesky zombies trying to harm the colony. Now, since Duncan is all by his lonesome, I'd like to find a friend for him, and there is already someone in the colony who could fill that position. I'm talking about Cooper, but the problem with him is that I need to find cure for him. Maybe Archimedes will know something about it. And so I ventured out to the village of Trembling Woods once more. Once I arrived to the village, the forest wandering trader was still there, and since I had some emeralds on me, I bought 8 stacks of wood as well as a diamond axe for 31 emeralds. Afterwards, I talked to the Hawkeye to ask about the whereabouts of Archimedes. He told me that him and Blade went to the crack to make progress in Archimedes' research on minerals found there. There, I talked with Archimedes about the matter, and he told me that he did in fact hear some rumors about potential cure, but he's not sure what it is yet. He will, however, let me know once he finds out more about it. Without the answer to my problem, I decided to instead focus on a quarry project and told the inhabitants that if they know any mason who would be interested in working on it, that they should let me know. With that out of the way, I went home after sleeping the night and grabbing more wood. Once I arrived home from the village of Trembling Woods, a pleasant surprise was waiting for me. It was a wandering trader who was selling TNT, slime balls, as well as saddles. I have to say, this one was one of the darker chapters in the history of the colony, as the goods weren't exactly bought from the said merchant, and after transaction, no one has seen him, you know. I truly have no idea what happened to him. To begin the construction destruction of the quarry, I still need more materials though, so I'll just head out into the mine to look for some. So here I am after mining for a couple of minutes now, and I stumbled across this cave. There seems to be a flood of mobs coming from it, and as dangerous as it seems, I really want to know what's in there. Whew. So after I fought through countless mobs, some of which are more dangerous than the others, such as a zombie soldier that was holding an iron sword and could deal almost half my health in one swing, I got to what I think is the source of the mobs. I do not know what the block is, but it feels as if it contains the essence of spiders. I think I don't need to go pay Archimedes the wizard again. From the chests that were there in the dungeon structure, I looted 2 pieces of horse armor, music discs, saddle, as well as 2 golden apples. With the new loot, which I promptly stored, I headed further down into the mines, and while mining close to lava, I finally stumbled across the diamond ore vein holding 4 blocks, from which, thanks to the Archimedes prospect, I got a block worth of them, so 9 diamonds. From 3 of them I crafted a diamond pickaxe and got to mining obsidian, which will be necessary for the quarry. Once I had 40 of them, I headed out, cleared out the trees I've planted again, traded the wood with Duncan for emeralds for a total of 17 blocks, and slept, marking the end of the 32nd day. In the following morning, I sailed to the village of Trembling Woods once more. After talking to the locals about potential mason, they said that a certain fellow named Bob from the neighborhood village would be interested, but that he needed a couple of days to pack his things, and then I should wait for him in the colony. Other than that, Archimedes was delighted to see me and told me that he knows how to cure Krupa, but that if I could take him to the colony, he'd be happy as he'd like to study the mysterious spider block I found a couple of days ago during my mining trip. We've arrived in the middle of the night, followed by zombie ambushers who again infiltrated the colony, but this time from the water. Sadly, I do not think I possess the knowledge to stop them from entering through the seas, really. On the following morning, there was yet another ambush, which I fought off. Other than that, Archimedes was also surprised to find out that the colony island holds something he called the Nether Portal. He said that he himself has never gone there, but his old master went to the Nether a couple of times studying the inhabitants, only to pass down the art of protecting oneself from their fiery attacks by imbuing the essence into the armor. The mobs are called blazes, and they produce fireballs which they fire at their foes and friends alike. Archimedes did not want to talk further, as the last time his master went there, he never returned. But as a thanks for showing him all of the cool things and my help during his crack research, he gave me one such armor that would protect me in case I would decide to pay the place a visit. The only thing that I would need if I wanted to enter was repair the structure and light fire next to it. Then a portal would appear and I could enter. During the evening on the 35th day, after I was done cutting wood, I went back to the colony only to see the result of both Duncan and Archimedes' fondness of each other. We got another colonist. Yay! Then there was yet another ambush. I'm done dealing with them. It's time to build the wall. And so I expanded the palisade defenses further into the water, encircling the docks even further. Then there was a breach of zombies, and after dealing with those who got inside, I instead decided that it would be better for the nature to finish off those who couldn't. Simple daylight solves every little problem. Of course, there have to be some exceptions, don't there? Hey ho, we got another kid, hello. You know, I said I want to work on the quarry, but there is still some materials I can't get my hands on, so instead I will now work on something else. I need to find dark oak for this though. Time to go on an adventure. Before that, however, I'll just make a quick stop in the village of Trembling Woods to buy a crossbow from Hawkeye and some arrows, as I ran out of them and I will need them in order to defend the colony. The village is also in the same direction as the dark oak forest, so that's nice. Anyways, so I spent like a day or so cutting wood and then headed home. Next day I'll probably work on the tree of enchanting. On the following day, parents of the youngsters announced that the names of the children will be Nina and Piccolo. Right after, I went to gather up some leaves for the tree project, and once I thought I had enough of them, I planted the seeds of dark oak enchanting tree. The seeds grew rapidly, quickly sprouting into large wooden roots that developed into a hollow trunk. Once the trunk was about twice the size of the palisade walls, it started branching out and formed the base for the crown of the tree. Then, from the individual branches, leaves started to grow and covered the plant completely. Day after, more branches appeared in the lower parts of the trunk, and those too sprouted into leaves and flowers. 2 days after being planted, the crown thickened, and overall more leaves appeared all around the tree, many of which began forming willow-like shaped vines. On the 4th day, the tree of enchanting finally developed magical lanterns to protect itself from the night creature's harm. Then finally the final growth phase began. Enchanting table appeared from within the middle of the hollowed out tree trunk, and around it shelves upon shelves filled with books filled with knowledge formed from the bar. The tree of enchanting reached its mature state. On the 43rd day, I could finally become a beginner enchanter under the guidance of Archimedes. Before that, I had to undergo a trial of the Guardian, a skeletal protector of the tree with his green explosive companion. canyon. To succeed, I had to use ranged weapon only, and at one point I almost lost the protector. Was it not for the golden apple I used to regain strength? After that, I used my wits and turned the tide of the battle by exploiting height advantage given to me by the palisade walls. Now I will use the enchanting table for the first time. As a catalyst, you always use lapis lazuli, and the tool I choose to imbue the aura of the place with was a diamond pickaxe I used for mining obsidian. I managed to obtain not only silk touch, but efficiency 4 and unbreaking 3 all at the same time. With my newly enchanted tool, I sailed east of the island, coming across a sunken nether portal as well as an ocean monument, a structure I chose not to investigate as I sensed an evil presence from it. The main reason I, however, chose to go on this adventure was actually to find a coral reef and collect some of the corals for my endeavors. I managed to find one relatively quickly, and after harvesting some of it, I began the voyage home during the evening. While coming up on the western shoreline, I did a sail-by, I guess, on a skeleton, and once I got to the colony, I slept. We got an update on the tree of the enchanting situation. In the bark of the tree, a beehive has formed, and a family of bees has found their new home. Other than that, in the colony, I took some explosives and began phase 1 of the quarry project, and that would be making a giant hole all the way down to the core of the planet. To do that quickly, I constructed a contraption above the hole that is capable of multiplying the raw power of explosives while not consuming anything, almost a perpetuum mobile, or simply duplication in this case. After I saw that the hole was big enough, I turned the machine off and I jumped into the sea to break the fall. Then I investigated the hole, and turns out that the machine did in fact reach the bottom, but the lava is making this place a bit too hot. I gotta put some ice on that. Thankfully, there is a giant glacier right next to the colony, just a little bit north from here. So I almost destroyed an entire piece of glacier and got like 7 stacks of think worth of packed ice. I hope this will be enough. While I was working on storing the ice, a ship sailed to the colony. In it was a mason named Bob. He's the guy people from Tremor Woods mentioned. He told me that he came here based on the help I once sought and could use some new materials. We made a deal, and in exchange for letting him use the materials found in the quarry, I would obtain glazed terracotta quartz, which is normally hard to come by in Overworld, and finally polished blocks from some stone variants. Then I went on a mining trip to look for some material. During this trip, I stumbled across a sunken cave, and I have to admit, there wasn't really much of anything, maybe some coal and iron, but that's about it. Then I cleared out the forest again, getting almost a full barrel worth of wood, and just pretty much spent the day stocking up on material in case I need it. I didn't find any diamonds, but that's no biggie as I don't need them now either way. I did, however, craft some items for the phase 2 of the quarry project, and during this time, Nina and Piccolo took up to some crafts. Nina decided to become an armorer, and Piccolo a toolsmith. Anyways, once I had all the important materials crafted, I went to the newly created hole and expanded it slightly to fulfill the requirements presented to me by Bob, who had a design in mind about a way to get infinite building material without the need to do anything. A dream of every mason pretty much. And so following the blueprint, I firstly constructed the collection system, then the obsidian chamber that will hold the generator. Once the chamber was constructed, I could start adding water into the corners. Here I'm expanding the place a bit to make it easier to move around when I stumbled across this diamond ore vein. Nice! Anyway, next to water, I then placed lava, which will produce cobblestone upon contact with water that is between the stairs. Since I've already built the generator part, now it's the time to construct the destructor, and that means another TNT duplicator pretty much. Here I'll just have to do some redstone shenanigans, which I don't understand, I'm just following the blueprint, and abuse some mechanics, and it should work. Okay, AFK cobblestone generator is done. Let's see if it works. Time of the truth, and yes, it works. Okay, I'm just gonna grab a couple of stacks as well as the 6 diamonds I found, and I'm gonna head out. What kind of massacre happened here, Mr. Golem? Wait, Golem? Is Cooper safe? Whew. He is, thankfully. While I was constructing the quarry, both Nina and Piccolo perfected their crafts. Nina was now capable of creating unbreakable boots as well as protective leggings, whereas Piccolo was amazing at creating the most efficient tools in existence. Anyhow, I mined the diamond ores, I got 13 diamonds from them, and again, that's pretty neat. And during the night, I went to bed early, as tomorrow is going to be exciting. Guess who can finally start doing terraforming now that he has infinite building material? Me! Yay. So anyhow, today I began working on the part that's behind the colony, smoothing down the hill and adding dirt outline to see where the rest of the blocks will go. I can safely say that just placing the outline took like 30 minutes, and then I started filling in the blocks to cover the whole place up. Same process continued even on the 3rd day, during which I had to restock the dirt since I didn't have any blocks left. Of course, the source of the said blocks was the original hill that's now underneath the one I'm building. On the 53rd day, a cave wandering trail trader arrived at the village, and this guy was selling some pretty neat things. For starters, 1 emerald for 4 iron, or 3 gold, or lapis or redstone, 10 emeralds for diamonds. Count me in. So, after spending almost all of my emeralds, I got 3 stacks of iron, 2 stacks of gold, 10 diamonds, and also some mini blocks. Well, if I didn't misclick, I wouldn't have like 9 stacks of stone brick mini blocks, but it's whatever. On the next day, another one came, all the way from Arctic, he said. He didn't have anything useful, so our colony kind of executed him. Anyhow, I continued gathering up the dirt, and once I had a couple of shells filled up, I got back to building. The technique I used to create the new mountain or the seaside hill was to first lay down the outline, then fill out the topmost layer to see how the relief would look like from above, and once that will be done and I'll be happy with how it'll look, I will focus on adding stone around the structure to form the cliffside. Or so that was the plan. You know, a nice peaceful venture on an already lit island. Well, fate had a different plan for me and the colony. On the 57th day, as I was coming home from work, a group of raiders launched an attack onto the colony. I defeated them, but I angered their leader, resulting in a full-on raid assault. After fighting off the first wave, the second one came on the 58th day, and with it, I got him into a melee brawl with a Vindicator that dealt literally half my health in one swing. Then I took them down too, and the third wave came, which I dealt with the same way, but I ran out of arrows. I hoped that would be the end, but boy was I wrong. Not only could I not find the last raider, which was a witch that hid herself deep into the caves of the hole, hoping she would support her brethren, the waves that were to come will be even more dangerous. That's the main issue here. During the fourth wave, my armor broke. Thankfully, Nina managed to smith me a new one. This one was made from diamond and offered much better protection from pillagers. And while it did protect me from direct axe and crossbow attacks, magic of evokers was still a big threat. And to make matter worse, a ravager finally breached the settlement. Amidst this chaos, one of the pillagers shot Pekka and killed him. Evoker then killed one of the villagers. It was madness, I'm telling you. I was surrounded in water, down to like 2.5 hearts. I killed those who breached the settlement, but there were still more to go. During this small time frame of peace, Archimedes took me aside and gave me a powerful artifact he said would end all of this, an apple of notch. I thought it's only a rumor, but this man had one in his possession. I ate it and I charged aside, fighting 5 Vindicators and an Evoker at once. The raid was still not over. I was unwilling to leave the place and abandon the people, so I thought I'd die with them, but I guess this passage wouldn't be written if that happened, would it? With the totem of undying that was in the possession of the Evoker and a second notch apple that Archimedes still had on him somehow. I mean, he's truly a man of wonders, what can I say? Anyhow, I defeated even that wave. I don't know, was it a 5th, 6th or 7th one? I lost count at this point. Another one came. That's what's happening, you know? During that one, I had a naval battle with Vindicator riding a Ravager, and once I was finished with them, I arrived into the colony only to see 1 villager remaining. I rushed to the gate to push them back, killing off half a dozen of Vindicators, only to be down to my last heart. I fell back to the colony center to heal back up, only to head out to meet them out in the field with totem in hand. 2 totem deaths and a notch apple down. I hunted down the last remaining raiders. I did not, however, become the hero of the village, for there was none left. There were so many dead, everyone except for the one nameless villager. Nina, Piccolo, Pekka, Bob, Duncan, Archimedes. The raid ended on the night of the 60th day, 4 days after it began. On 61st day, I harvested what was left of the garden and I assessed the damage. In the meantime, the nameless one became Fletcher, but I had other things to worry about. I wanted to construct a graveyard for my fallen friends. For each and every one of them, I made a little wooden crosses. I decided that I will bury the items that they gave me with them. For Nina, it was the armor. For Archimedes, it was the chestplate of Blaze. For Duncan, it was his boat and fishing rod he gave me. I buried Piccolo's shovel with him, and with Bob I buried glazed terracotta and bricks. The last grave belonged to the one villager that did not have names, so I didn't put anything with him. Then I engraved their names on the crosses, brought flowers, added paths, as well as a wall made from bushes all around the little graveyard. Once I finished constructing the graveyard, I got back to terraforming. This time, since the upper player was already in place, I began working on the walls of the cliff. On the 65th day, I had already built the part that was on the other side of the palisade walls, and with constant influx of materials, I only really had to go to the hole and back for and put it into my furnaces. The build was coming along quite nicely. During one of the nights, as I was building up the northern portion, a zombie wandered into the colony somehow. I guess my wall building skills are still 0. So anyhow, the nameless one got converted sadly. Time to put him in a cage with Cooper, you know? I should really start finding the cure. Anyways, going back to my furnaces and me running short on coal, I instead decided to start using lava as an alternative fuel. Since there are no villages in the colony, I guess I'll go on an adventure to find one, you know? Wait. What? How did you get here? I think he must have been here for a couple of days now, just barely holding on to his life. Good that I decided to finally rescue him, you know? And so after saving that drowning villager, I went to the village of Tremoring Woods on the 67th day to earn some money, since, you know, everyone in my colony is dead pretty much. On the 60th day, I ordered large stock of arrows from Hawkeye, and Lobato gave me his new special soup recipe. Looks sus to me. As I was cutting the wood, I ate the first one, and I was wrong. This soup is bloody delicious. Then I went to the Archimedes study room and collected all his books for later study of the Nether and the Cure. In the evening, I ate the second soup, and the trip I got from this one was pretty scary, not gonna lie. No more of Lobardo's soups from now on. Then during the night I went home, and during that ride I stumbled across another zombie shepherd and I wanted to rescue him. Again, just like with Cooper, it was a slow and painful ride full of stops, but once I've arrived home and almost died while trying to land a ship in the harbor, I secured Namel's drowning escapee villager and began moving the shepherd. Of course, as luck or just my complete stupidity would have it, as I was trying to get the shepherd into the cage, I fell into the hole and panic destroyed Totem of Undying that saved my life. Then I had to get the villagers back since, you know, the sun was rising. With Cooper and Shepherd burning, I still somehow got lucky and saved them. Then, since I had 39 levels and my armor was close to breaking, I crafted a new one and enchanted it, marking the end of 69th day. 70th day, I wanted to give the Silent Shepherd a name, but he vanished somehow. So much for losing one Totem of Undying for him. Anyhow, time to go back to terraforming again. So, it has been about 2 days later, and there's one thing that is absolutely frustrating, is phantoms. Honestly, right? I'm not sleeping for 3 days straight, and these guys are so bloody annoying. So anyhow, after finally sleeping, because I had to, I continued terraforming. Yay! As I was placing stone above the hole, I decided to create small overhang with grassy terrace, as I thought that would look cool once it would have some flowers and stuff. And so, during the night of 73rd day, I finally finished placing the last stone, and then the creeper decided to blow it up, and I had to run around and do parkour to get the colony, you know? But I could finally call the second phase complete. Well, once I repaired that hole, but other than that, I'm so happy now that's over. Did I say phase 2 complete? Well, think again. There's actually one more thing that needs to be done. You see, over at the northeastern corner, there's just grass floating, and I gotta put some support underneath. And for that, I decided to make a pillar-like support that won't be connected to the rest of the hill. As such, we'll get a nice little crevice. And here it is. After 2 days of placing down stone, I gotta say, I love it. On 76th day, my cobblestone generator malfunctioned, and it took me a good while to figure out what was wrong, since I'm no engineer, and sadly Bob, who gave me the blueprint, was no longer with us. And then I took some dirt, and I went all around the cliff, making an overhang from it. Once I got that out of the way, I added torches all around the cliff to prevent mob spawning, and I began building a monument for Pekka. The plan is to construct a large stone statue in shape of a chicken on top of the hill that stands on top of the colony. After 2 days of construction, Pekka's remnants were reburied to the new location, and the statue now towered over the colony. With the statue finished, I got back to terraforming again, and this time my aim is to add one more layer of dirt on top of the already existing one, since I learned that leaving only one layer can be quite problematic if you want to place gravel in certain places to make roads, just like in the case of Statue of Pekka. Once I was finished with that, I brought most of my building blocks up to the eastern sides to start building a woodcutter's lodge. You know, since most of my life I've been a good lumberjack and stuff. Firstly, I constructed a stone platform on which the wood would be sawn. Then I added an outline of the roof, and lastly added a saw blade as well as a hidden staircase that would lead to this tree sanctuary that will be added later underneath the lodge and will serve as a place to grow more trees and harvest them. And so with the end of 84th day, the outside of the sawmill was finished. It was time to start planting some trees around the area, as well as add piles of sawn wood as well as logs that are only yet to be cut. Well, to secure the logs in place I used rails, and to mimic cut wood I used planks and some mini blocks as tree stumps, but I ended up removing them at a later point. Then I added pathway leading from the colony to the sawmill. I've also connected the Statue of Pekka to the road. After building the woodcutter's lodge, I then went to the village of Tremoring Woods. Thanks to the trading, the villagers now had enough money to buy themselves an iron golem guard to protect them. Anyhow, while in the village, I earned money through woodcutting, buying some food for the work I did. This time, Lobato started growing golden carrots, the most nutritious food in the world. The reason I went to the place was to ask around to see if anyone knew of the location of tropical biomes, from which I I could obtain 3 saplings for the sanctuary. Blade told me that if I sail further west, I would eventually come across a desert, and from there I should head south to reach savanna bordering jungle. With the newly found information, I did just what I've been told, and as I was approaching the desert, I saw a mysterious temple-like structure off into the distance. Once I landed, it started to rain, and the night was drawing near, so I decided to spend the night under the temple, making shelter from the wood that I got from the nearby forest. Once I got into the temple, I decided to explore it thoroughly, and in the middle of the main room, underneath the floor, I found a secret chamber that contained an explosive trap, which I promptly dismantled. In the 4 chests that were around, I got a couple of enchanted books, diamonds, saddles, and other neat stuff. Once the rain was over, I decided to not wait any longer and headed out, going through plains where there was a farming village that was quite prosperous, as they too had enough money to hire a protection golem. Anyways, I continued on my way, and in the next to no time I found the jungle as well as the savanna. While in the jungle, I also stumbled across bamboo, and as I was trying to get it, creeper snuck up on me and almost succeeded, but my reactions were quicker. Afterwards, I saw a warrior zombie holding an enchanted iron sword, and I completely missed my first attack only to get hit for 3 hearts while wearing a full enchanted iron armor. I did not miss any other strike afterwards, I gotta say. Then I collected some acacia wood and headed home. I decided to take a different route, and during this time I came across yet another village in which the local priest/healer knew about the nether, and for a couple of emeralds he sold me a glowing stone. A glowstone that is natural to the nether biomes, you know. En route, I wanted to save another zombie villager, but Creeper decided to kamikaze into a group of zombies and killed him, so I failed in that case. As the sun was rising on the 87th day, I was near the colony, slowly approaching the shores of the island, and just as I got home, Desert Wandering Trader arrived. This guy was selling 1 diamond for 8 emeralds, as well as buying sand for emeralds. And you know, since I have this huge beach next to the colony, I decided to whip out my quick shovel and began digging. And so after just a couple of minutes, I went from almost 27 stacks of sand to 10 diamonds, and plus 9 from the emeralds I had left over. Now it is time to finally start building the sanctuary. My plan is to build a large box-shaped room with stone walls with the chests surrounding it and a tree planting area in the middle. And so after an hour of work, all of the walls were done, each with their own tree type except for those behind the stairs. Each wall holds a chest that is to contain the saplings of that tree type in order to preserve it for the future generation, and the grassland in the middle is for growing trees. Well, this marks the end of 92nd day. I have to say, I'm getting quite close to my last couple of days here. After building the sanctuary, I now had enough saplings to plant trees all around the cliff, and so the next couple of days were spent planting apple trees next to the road, and further I got, I started placing large spruce trees as well as a thin aspen-like trees. During one of the nights, a zombie villager appeared, and I saved him, of course, by trapping him in the cage. By the end of 94th day, the apple trees have grown, and we had a nice small grove of trees. Next day, the other trees have also grown, and as I was coming home from the sanctuary, 3 ships have sailed to the colony, filled with villager refugee family that ran away after their village was overrun by vindicators. I took them in, and on the next day, the parents got working in the apple orchard, providing apples for the colony. It was also during that day that the wandering trader visited the colony. At first, he seemed really shady, I have to say, saying such things like that he went to a place that only has floating islands, with large black creatures with purple eyes living everywhere. Then he said that he would sell me a shell of special animal living in that place that can only be used to create portable chests as well as pearls that would help me reach the portal to that dimension. As I said, at first, he seemed sketchy, but the opportunity to hold more than just 36 stacks at once was enough to convince me to try and bargain with him. After a day, I bought enough shells for 2 boxes and 20 pearls to reach the place myself. And so after packing my stuff in the shulker boxes, I slowly but surely prepared for my last adventure. Adventure to the end. For my trip, the nameless villager that almost drowned gave me the strongest bow in existence. And so the journey began during the 99th night. After sailing for some time north, I stumbled across a taiga biome and helped the wolf take down some skeletons. He then became my friend. During the morning of the following day, we went diving into a shipwreck in which I found a treasure map, and so I took the little detour in order to get that treasure with the Lucky the dog. The chest contained 4 diamonds, 19 iron, and a heart of a sea. Going further north, we then stumbled across an outpost of pillagers, which we infiltrated and took revenge on those who raided us. Then we set free Iron Golem prisoner, came across another ruined nether portal which held some gold, which I stored in the shulker box, and then we got back on track to the end. And so finally finally, during the night of 100th day, we reached the stronghold containing the portal to the end. Then I spent days wandering the corridors, going left and right, up and down, many times in circles. At one point, Creeper snuck up on me, but Lucky saved me only to sacrifice himself in the process. 2 days after wandering this place, I finally found the portal. It's time to go in. Once I've arrived, everything was so mysterious and strange. The sky was dark, the stone was yellow. Once I reached the surface from the underground, I saw the threat the shady merchant told me about. A giant flying dragon shooting balls of ender flame all around the place. Around him, obsidian pillars holding what seemed like crystals connected to him, giving him power to rule the place. I knew that if I wanted to have a chance, I needed to destroy them. And so after shooting those without the cage and climbing out those with it, there were none left anymore. Once I got back down, the dragon perched on top of the indestructible fountain in the middle of the island, where I used my sword to fight him. Then he started flying, so I switched to bow, only for him to come back down, and me, using a quick barrage of arrows, I finished him off. With his dying breath, he screamed and the dimension tore itself, creating a sudden flash of light off into the distance, possibly a portal to an unknown place holding new adventures. For now, I decided to head out of this place, so I took the dragon egg and I jumped in. I do not know where the portal will take me. I might take on another form or go to another world, be forgotten by my old friends or make new ones during my ventures. Unexplored worlds of opportunity, of new perils and treasures, new foes and friends alike. I just hope that this wasn't my last adventure. So until next time, see ya. Here's Cyril. Hope you enjoyed watching my own 100 days of hardcore, which, yeah, as I said in the 80 days of Seed 01, was actually recorded earlier, and so the next adventure was Seed 0. What's after that? Who knows? Some mountains, you know, clay caves and cliffs, some building, or maybe redstone. Anyhow, kinda the same story as with that one. I'm not afraid of commitment. I commit to all things all the time. It's following through on that commitment that I take issue with. So yeah, I guess this is the end of the series, eh? Nothing new on this channel. But yeah, if you enjoyed watching, consider liking and subscribing to the channel, since like literally not even 2% is actually subscribed. And so if you do so, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.